So there's been rumor and speculation over the last few days about Nintendo, not even just last few days, like months, I guess. Nintendo possibly bringing out a new version of the Switch or a new console, partly because of the whole Xbox Series X and PS5 coming out. And, you know, the Switch is already way underpowered compared to them. And we've already spoken about this. The Switch doesn't need to be as powerful. It's its own category, essentially, of gaming. But there's been that sort of the theory that they should sort of do something to, you know, refresh it a bit, I guess. And there's been new reports out, and apparently there has been a report that's kind of been leaked or announced, not officially announced yet, but it's been leaked out of Nintendo saying they are planning a new Switch release to be in 2021. Apparently they are said to be dabbling with more power, so a slightly more powerful unit, and 4K visuals, which is like one of the key things they're talking about, because obviously right now the Nintendo Switch does not do 4K. I mean, even the Xbox One and PS4, when they were released, didn't really natively do proper 4K gaming. The Xbox One X, correct me if I'm wrong, actually, is the Xbox One X the only one that can actually really do proper 4K native gaming?
The gaming, yes. The what is it? The that Series S or whatever they call it.
That does Blu-ray, doesn't it?
Play 4K. Blu-ray,
yes,
but not game.
So yeah, they can play the 4K movies. I think the PS4 Pro can do 4K movies as well. And did the PS4 original PS4 do 4K? Anyway, yeah.
It doesn't do it natively.
Yeah. So only the Xbox One X does 4K gaming. So yeah, this will be a pretty massive thing if the next Switch does 4K gaming, because I mean that's something that, you know, Microsoft only really cracked in the last year or so of the Xbox One. So it's clear that they won't be competing directly with the Series X or the PS5 in terms of power, because that's sort of Nintendo's thing now. As we said, they're in their own category. It's more likely just to be a slight upgrade, a bit more power, better screen and stuff. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, because apparently it's the report that was released also sort of indicated there would be loads more games planned for the new hardware. So some rumors are stating it could release with Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Taking that as a rumor, though, right now, completely rumor, because that's just speculation. But it'd be interesting what they do. I mean, personally, I kind of imagine it's going to be a little bit like the 3DS XL. If you remember when that was launched, it was a more powerful version of 3DS. It had an extra analog stick on it, was more powerful, so some of the games that they released were designed for the 3DS XL, so you couldn't run them on the old 3DS, but you could run 3DS games on the 3DS XL. So I'm kind of imagining it's going to be a bit like that, a bit more powerful. There's going to be a few games that are going to be released for it specifically, so better performance and stuff, but then be able to play all your cool classic old Switch games on it. But yeah, what do you guys think? Are you guys excited by this news? Are you it's kind of fair? Or what are you feeling, Scotty? Tell me your thoughts and feelings, please.
Nintendo's always released outdated hardware to then upcharge it, the cost of it. So when they release stuff, it's already outdated. But with the gimmicks, and they know how to use it and kind of bring out its potential, it kind of hides all that. And I'm not slamming them for that. I'm saying that because they've never had a reason. The Wii didn't even have HD out. It only had component out at max. And they said it didn't have a DVD player because everybody already had one at that point. They didn't need it. That was to cut down costs. And I think that, well, it wouldn't be handheld. It wouldn't have handheld 4K. That's not even possible to do, I don't think. Like, have that small screen be a 4K screen.
I don't know. I think you can get pretty small 4K screens these days, can't you? I don't know.
I guess I shouldn't speak too much on that because I really have no idea. Nintendo is also the best company at keeping their lips tight. Like Paper Mario, the Origami King, was announced to come out like 6 weeks after it did or something. So they've been known for doing stuff like that. So I don't know. That the Switch Lite is out. What would they call it? The Switch 2 with 4K, 4U? The Switch 2 4UK? I don't know. I don't think, like, I was holding out for this. If COVID hadn't happened and we didn't need quote unquote a Switch as much as we thought. I was going to wait for the Switch Pro that kept getting rumored and everything because I had no reason to rush out and get one. So, this is another thing where it's like, I got a Switch. I'm just sitting back and watching the Armageddon occurs because nobody knows what they're doing and they're afraid to do anything, and it's gonna be something.
I think this is inevitable. I mean, we all knew this was going to be coming at some point. It's just this Nintendo has to somewhat keep up with Microsoft and Sony, so that multi-platform games can still be ported to Nintendo's console platform. They can't let their hardware get so outdated that that companies like EA and everyone else can no longer port their games without having a very drastic downgrade in visuals and performance. And so Nintendo's naturally going to have to refresh their hardware. It's right around the time where it seems like Nintendo does that anyway. Like after the 3 or 4 year mark or so, you'll get a new iteration of the system. I'm still not sold that it's going to reach 4K visuals though, especially when it's undocked. Because right now the Switch is 720p for most games, like when it's undocked, and 1080 when you actually dock it. I just don't see without drastically, driving up the price. I just don't see that as being a very realistic benchmark to hit. And I don't think they need to either. I don't think they need to get to the 4K thing, but especially when you're playing on like a little screen like that. I mean, does it really make that much of a difference? But I can see it mainly being for the docked mode or whatever. But I'm not sold that it's going to get to the 4K. But like I said, it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be good enough to where companies can port their games to whatever the Switch 2 or whatever they decide to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry, Graham. Give your thoughts.
No, it's fine. My brain was, as I sort of said, my brain was processing something about some of the bigger open world games that they've released. Like I know it's old now, but Skyrim and Witcher 3. That's a really good example of what they managed to put on the Switch, the original Switch.
Doom.
So Doom as well. Yeah. So there have been some really surprisingly big games that kind of are graphically impressive and actually physically massive. So it's very interesting to see this. I'm wondering, my theory there is that they're releasing this not to compete with the Xbox Series X or PS5, but to up that level that if a game was to come out on the Series X or PS5, like that maybe they could put it on ported to the new Switch, just with a little bit of extra grunt behind it. So a bit like they've done with Witcher 3 and the like and stuff. Because they have done some pretty impressive things with the standard Switch, even though it's technically way underpowered compared to the other consoles out there. So yeah, that was just kind of my thought there on that little bit. Scotty, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was trying to look up the variations of the 3DS, and I couldn't remember if the 3DSi. I couldn't remember if that was the DS or the 3DS because I was trying to make a DSi, just DSi.
Yeah, they had the 3DS, the 3DS XL, and the 3DS. Oh, 2DS. They called it the 2DS, didn't they? I think there's only 3 models of the 3DS. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Technically 4 because I was trying to look here at DS, DS Lite, DSi, DSi XL, and then 3DS, 3DS XL, 2DS, 2DS XL. So
okay,
the 3DS conquered the handheld world for a while. So the Switch is conquering its own world right now, and there's no reason they're not going to have like 5 different versions of it.
Yeah, I guess so. What if the new Switch adds in a 3DS or 3D mode? Would you guys be happy with that?
I wouldn't give 2 shits.
Oh, fair enough. I quite like the 3D. The 3D and the 3DS impressed me because you didn't need glasses. I was like, this is really cool. And a few games, I felt it did actually add something to it, but I completely understand it's not for everyone, and it's not even that important for most games. So
I could
The only
see them
game I-
maybe doing something with like VR or AR with their new system.
HD Rumble.
oh yeah, that's what I'm about.
The only 3D thing that ever impressed me was Resident Evil Revelations or Revelatons, depending on which version you had, because that game had in-game 3D sliders, so you wouldn't just turn off or on the system's 3D slider. You actually mess with it in-game. So they games that do that, I heard, took better advantage of it. So, that was the only one I played with any 3D on. Otherwise, unless you were looking dead on at it, it messed up and could make you sick, depending on who you are. But
yeah, the Zelda Legends of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask Zelda games in 3D I thought were amazing in 3D, and Star Fox 64 3D version. Though those games, to me, I basically, when I played them in 3D, I was like, this feels so cool. I thought it really enhanced the game, but it's not needed, but it's just be interesting. But yeah, and what Chris said with the possible VR, maybe I can't see them doing that, to be honest. But
there's been rumors that Nintendo was going to dabble VR with some future hardware.
Okay.
I would think though that maybe AR would be something that Nintendo would probably be wanting to.
Yeah, they already did that with the DS.
They could do it with the DS, but if they have like really fresh, new hardware, and they could integrate like some camera, like a good camera in the the Switch, there could be some really cool AR stuff that they could potentially do.
They could release a new Pokemon Go style game on there, I guess, which could be quite cool.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Nintendo's always been one of the companies that's introduced something, not taken advantage of it, but other people do. But so HD Rumble could be used in VR or AR or some sort of R. But also, they have that vitality sensor on, or whatever it actually is, on the right Joy-Con. And I'm pretty sure the only thing that uses that right now is Ring Fit. Yeah. But imagine, using that in a survival horror game or something, that it measures your heart rate somehow or something like that, and throw that into VR or something.
Wow. So someone has a heart attack in real life, they die in the game. Wow.
That's right.
That's real virtual reality.
Malcolm in the middle is not going to help you. Whatever his name is.
Oh, gosh. I was about to say someone's name. It's not right. Frankie Muniz. Is that it?
That's his name.
Yeah. There you go.
I was letting the audience figure it out.